everybody. Welcome back to the A to Jump podcast. This is episode 19, a podcast about video games and whatever other nerdy things are on our minds. I am Justin of Justin Games, joined as always by Jacob of Gooba and Jetpack. Hello, Jacob.
How are we doing?
We did it. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Just like we promised.
Yeah. We said
Just
we
like
would
we
record in
promised.
2 weeks, and we actually made that happen.
We did. I'm proud of us.
Please, God, don't let anything happen to this footage.
Please, Odin.
Oh, man.
So today is the return of our random roll review. Jake and I have been playing our games. We're going to get into that at the very end of the show. But first, we had some thoughts on some questionable actions of game companies, if you can believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
The typical offenders are at it again. Palworld is taking over the internet and Steam. Neither of us have played it, but we're just going to give our quick thoughts about it, I guess. The Last of Us Part 2 Remaster is out, and Jake's been playing a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to get his thoughts on that. There was an Xbox Developer Direct that I actually really enjoyed. So I'm excited to jump into all that stuff. And then finally, we'll do our random roll reviews. But first, Jacob, we did get a comment on our last video.
We did. You are correct.
From the usual Megan B225. She says, I think your talk on AI doing voice acting is very interesting. Playing the Nancy Drew games, I have commented many times on how great the voice acting is. I do believe that part of the art of a game would be lost if AI did more voice acting than real voice actors. And she goes on to say her most anticipated game of 2024 is Nancy Drew Mystery of the Seven Keys, hopefully. I guess that's not for certain. And she says, also Happy New Year, and I love the beards.
Oh. Well,
Megan.
Megan,
Please.
thank you. Don't.
Stop, Megan.
Stop.
Megan.
Please.
Goodness.
No, thank you very much for your comment.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we talked about AI last week and how terrible it would be. But yeah, just voice acting in general would go down the tube if that were to be the thing.
Honestly, the more involvement AI has with video games, the less good they're going to be. I was trying to think of a better word than that, but
good is a good word.
Quality would just go
Yeah.
downhill.
Tank. Bad. Nancy Drew Mystery of the Seven Keys. Fill me in. I think we talked about that before, right?
We've definitely brought it up in the past. It's confirmed the title of the next Nancy Drew game. There's been a few, I guess, trailers and kind of like behind the scenes things revealed. It has not been confirmed if it's revealing or if it's releasing this year. But that's pretty highly speculated, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, looking forward to hearing more on that.
How do they announce Nancy Drew games? It's like a tweet, or
you
never see them at showcases or anything like that.
No, they keep very much to their community. So it'll get posted on the Her Interactive, who makes the games. It'll get posted on their Instagram. I think they have a YouTube channel as well. But they'll post stuff, like the official stuff will make it onto those channels, but then also they're really good about putting out little like teasers that have sort of little pieces of information that you have to figure out.
I remember that's what you guys were doing.
Yeah. Well, there was a few months there, right before the big announcement where they actually confirmed like it's a new game. They were putting out like just the weirdest little like ambiguous messages in their posts and stuff. And everyone was, the whole community was on there every day trying to piece together like, oh, well, you can see this building in the background. Like maybe that's where the game is going to be set. And like nothing had been confirmed. up until that point. But it was like every day or every other day they were putting out some little like clue as to what the game was going to be.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I like all that. Rest assured, I will do everything I can, and I'm sure Jake will too, to get Jetpack on this podcast to talk about it if it does come out.
Oh yeah.
We will not shove Nancy Drew. We will give her the spotlight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when that game comes out, she deserves to be the one to actually talk about it.
Absolutely, she does. Okay, that was the only comment we got. Thank you, Megan. If you stumble across this video and you say, "Hey, I have thoughts about video games," go ahead and leave a comment. We'll read it. As long as it's not mean, we'll address it.
And if it is mean, we'll read it. We just probably won't talk about it. We'll just cry amongst ourselves.
Yep, I'll send it to Jake and we'll both cry.
Yep.
Okay. So if we haven't given the impression so far on this podcast, we don't care for game companies all that much, at least the huge ones, because they keep continuing to do stupid crap. Ubisoft, I don't know what he was. He had to have been an executive.
I can tell you, he was the director of subscriptions for Ubisoft.
Ah, that explains this, his quote a little bit better. Do you have the exact quote in front of you or no?
I do. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
So the gentleman's name was Philip Tremblay. He's the director of subscriptions for Ubisoft, and he was being interviewed to talk about their updated subscription plan. I don't know, they rebranded whatever their version of like Game Pass is, which doesn't matter. I'm not going to buy it. But he was talking about how the do you want? I mean, I can read off the whole thing if you want me to.
Railed it off.
All right. So he said, one of the things we saw is that gamers are used to, a little bit like DVD, having and owning their games. That's the consumer shift that needs to happen. They got comfortable with not owning their CD collection or DVD collection. That's a transformation that's been a bit slower to happen in games. As gamers grow comfortable in that aspect, you don't lose your progress. If you resume your games at another time, your progress file is still there. That's not been deleted. You don't lose what you've built in the game or your engagement with the game. So it's about feeling comfortable with not owning your game.
That was just like word salad.
Yeah, I
didn't.
You can tell, like, kind of in the middle there, he was like losing what the point was.
Yeah, he was.
Because he was
okay.
He's like, it's like DVD, except not, because they don't have DVDs, but they do have games, and we don't want that.
I feel like people would feel the same about games and Blu-rays.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know.
So essentially, like, if you didn't follow what that meant, he's basically saying that he wants gamers to be comfortable with not actually owning their games and just playing everything through subscriptions.
Right.
And
as the director of subscriptions would really want you to do, so that he gets a big bonus. Yeah. That's just never gonna happen.
No.
Not people like having the physical discs for games, because certain people might treat movies as a collectible, but especially with like Switch cartridges, people love their Switch cartridges. It's fun just to have the physical little thing as almost a collectible, you know?
Yeah.
And I like having a game case, although I I cheaped out and got the digital version of the PS5.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't have, but I did.
It
But even
happens.
then, it's not. I don't know. I think people are never gonna buy into that lifestyle. Gamers are different, I guess.
Yeah, I've been trying to think about like why exactly this system wouldn't work for gaming, and I can't really put like an exact reason. I just know like games are not interchangeable with movies and TV shows in that aspect. Like,
No, they're just not.
yeah, there's you get so much more interaction with games that, you know, it's not like a show that even if you binge the show and you watch like, you know, 100 hours of it or something, you know, when it's done, more than likely you're not going to go back to that show like every day. But a game is something that you could play for hours and hours and hours and hours and do that for years on end and never lose interaction with it. Where if these if all games are on a subscription service, like, I'm sorry, I don't care how big of a company you are or how big your server is, you can't keep every game on there forever.
No,
So trying to say that, you know, the game is always going to be there, it's not. It's not.
no, I agree. I think that came up not too long ago with people that had purchased certain shows or movies on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation had removed them. They weren't any shows I'd ever heard of. I bet only like a dozen. It only affected maybe a
Yeah.
dozen people, but still, I mean, it happens. And I get people that are nervous about owning digital media that it can just be removed like that.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
mean, I like I feel like most of my games now are digital, like
yeah, mine
across
too.
all platforms. And I think Sony did end up like backtracking on that, though it was Discovery or something like that. A certain
Okay.
network's
Yeah.
programming, um, that they were just going to remove from your library even though you purchased it.
Yeah.
Um, they did walk that back, but it's kind of like, you know, just seeing that's even something that they would do is scary enough.
Yeah. I
So
don't know.
like,
Yeah. I mean, it's something to that gamers are worried about, and that's why it'll probably never happen.
yeah.
And then the reasoning he tries to give, or like the defense he tries to give, that if you leave your game, your progress is still there, or something like that. Like, does he not know how video games work? Physical discs do that too, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I
I
mean,
don't know where he was going with that.
he probably doesn't really play games, honestly. Like,
No, no, he's probably just some French exec
yeah,
who they.
he made a there was another comment he made where he's like, I get it. I still have like 2 boxes of DVDs. And I was like, oh, you're so relatable. Like,
He sits backwards on his chairs. He's one
puts
of
on a
us.
puts on a backwards hat and he says, hey kids, I'm just gonna talk to you today. I'm not
I'm
gonna
gonna be
teach
real.
you. Yeah. Let's get real.
Ubisoft, they just keep on proving that they are completely out of touch.
Yep.
This is another example in several. Another one was somebody, I don't know who it was, who threw a big fit about the NFTs in what's their shooter game?
um Rainbow
Um,
Six.
oh, not the one I'm thinking of. Maybe it was Rainbow Six. I don't remember. Um, it was the one with John Bernthal showed up in it. Ghost Recon.
Oh
Is that
yeah. I
that's
forgot that's them
Ubisoft,
too.
right? Yeah, I think it is. They had NFTs in that game where you get a certain helmet, and engraved on that helmet was a certain number, and Ubisoft thought the world would go nuts for that helmet with a number that only you would own, and nobody did. So he got really upset and threw a fit. It's just saying, like, if we set all this up, that's going to be really cool, but now nobody wants it. So gamers just don't get to have that anymore. It's like, dude, we never wanted it. Like, you came up with a bad idea. Nobody wanted it. And now you're upset. That's it. And there was another example too. I can't remember, but yeah, Ubisoft out of touch, very out of touch.
Yeah. I think if I can add one more thought on that, I
Yeah,
bet the
absolutely.
reason that they thought the NFTs could work is because there is a similar ish system to that in other games. So like in Counter-Strike, for example, um you can, I don't know exactly how it works. I don't play Counter-Strike, but I've seen things on this. But
Mm-hmm.
apparently you can basically buy like packs of different weapons, and there's apparently super rare weapons in the game that like one in a 10,000 people will get, and people will spend thousands of dollars trying to get one of these super rare weapons, and they'll even like buy them off of other players and stuff for crazy amounts of money. I bet that's probably what they were hoping for with this Ghost Recon thing. Um, but Ghost Recon is never going to have the player base that Counter-Strike does.
Yes,
Yeah,
not
like
even close.
no. So I think he probably saw something like that happening. He was like, "We have shooters. There's guns in those." Like,
Yeah, don't you guys like spending money on shooters?
yeah, no,
Ubisoft doesn't have a Fortnite. They don't have a gold mine, so they're just gonna keep on trying.
yeah, they they've been trying for years to make. I think Rainbow Six Siege might be their, not. It's not a gold
Yeah,
mine, but that's the only game
it's
that I can think
definitely
of that
their.
has like a pretty consistent player base
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely
for
their most
several years.
popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ubisoft. When will you learn? Next, Rockstar, the makers of Red Dead Redemption, another game you might have heard of, GTA 5. They've claimed ownership over the letter R because they are suing Remedy, uh, creators of Alan Wake 2, Control, because their logo's too similar. I'm going to put those up on the screen right now so you can see that they are just the letter R. um, Rockstar's is an R with a star at the end, and Remedy's is like a, I don't know. It's just the letter R.
Yeah.
This is the stupid crap that rich people get up to, and it drives me insane. Why do you care? It's the letter R.
I don't
Find
know.
something else to do. Go outside. I don't care. God.
So I might be completely wrong about this, but didn't Remedy and Rockstar like used to work together in some fashion?
Yes, on Max Payne.
Yeah, like
So, but that was probably what, 20 years ago.
something like
All,
that.
all those
It's in like the
guys that
PS.
liked each other are probably gone, or they hate each other. I don't know.
It's all business.
It's all business. It's all about money. Like, really? This is what we were worrying about? People suck. Rich
Yeah.
people suck. That's enough. That's enough about game companies. I get mad. You get me fired up.
Now look what you did now, Rockstar.
you got you got Justin all mad.
He's gonna throw a fit.
Why does anybody want my NFTs? Oh my god. It's a ladybug.
Scary.
It flew right at my monitor. Go away. Oh god, that scared me. Okay.
All right.
Let's discuss Palworld. Jacob, in your best words, how can you describe what you've seen of Palworld so far?
I'm gonna describe it the way that I think pretty much everyone knows it as now, which is Pokemon with guns.
Yeah, I've heard that's not a super accurate Um,
Yeah.
it's got way more survival elements than a Pokemon,
Hmm.
but it's so like more Valheim or something like that. But there are definitely
Yeah.
little critters that follow you around and you can fight with them or use them for stuff. I don't know. Neither of us have played it, so. But it is taking over the Steam charts. It's the number 2 played game of all time.
Hmm.
It's already sold 7 million copies, which is more than Spider-Man 2, which was more than Super Mario Wonder, which is more than what else was I seeing on Reddit? A lot. It's nuts.
Yeah.
And people were pretty concerned about this game because it apparently people are accusing the developers of plagiarism. People are accusing them of using only AI art. It's a pretty controversial game, and
Hmm.
I think I feel like people like I read a take that somebody said people are trying to play it now before it gets delisted
Hmm.
anytime. It's gonna go away anytime. But I don't know. I haven't really seen any gameplay. I've only just kind of read about it. So I couldn't tell you if it's fun or not, or even looks fun.
Yeah. As we said, I haven't played it at all. I've seen a couple of videos on it, and at first I thought it was what it sounded like, Pokemon with guns, and it was just going around and you can fight Pokemon with guns and try and catch them, and then they can use guns and all that. And I think that's in there, but it looks like it takes a while to even get to that point. Like it's a lot more survival, like uh not necessarily like farming sim, but there are like some characteristics of that where like you have to
Mm-hmm.
build a base and like you can use your pals or whatever the equivalent of Pokemon is.
Sure.
Uh and they can like help you build stuff. And then after however long, eventually you unlock the guns. But I don't know. I mean, people seem to be enjoying it, or at least, enjoy making content on it because it's
Yeah, I mean,
everywhere.
yep.
But
It's in early access. I checked it's $30
mhm.
on Steam, and I think it's on Game Pass.
Is
But
it
I heard
really?
yeah, I thought I heard that. But you
Hmm.
can't play with your friends on Game Pass. It's only local multiplayer on Game Pass, and then it's online on Steam.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think I'll play that.
Yeah. Um, it looks like it. There was talks that it could be. I mean, it would never kill Pokemon, and I don't think they
Oh,
would
of course
even
not.
think to try. But there were people initially saying that it looked like it could be a fun, like what Pokemon should be at this point. But now learning that it's a bit more about like the survival aspects and stuff, I don't really think that's the case.
No,
Um,
I think Scarlet and Violet is what Pokemon should be,
yeah,
as long as they like, you know, tighten that up,
yeah,
fix it. But gameplay, I thought that was a perfect Pokemon game.
yeah. Still haven't
Um,
haven't played one since Pokemon Legends, and I
that was another one. That one sold 6.5 million.
yeah,
So Palworld has already outsold Legends Arceus.
that's crazy.
That is nuts. I don't think it'll ever outsell any of the other
No.
ones. So.
Mhm.
All right. Well, anything more to say about Palworld?
Um, the only other thing I saw was that so people have been saying that the studio who made Pal World should be ready for Pokemon to try and sue them or something. And it doesn't sound like that's been happening. Although there was a modder who created a mod to turn all of the pals into Pokemon. And he is
That guy's
being
gonna get yeah.
pursued by Nintendo. I didn't
That
see
was a dumb
exactly
thing to do.
I didn't see exactly what happened to him. I just saw that he had tweeted saying like Nintendo has come for me and that's it. So He might be dead. I don't know.
They've sent the assassins.
Yeah,
No, they'll. I doubt they'll kill him.
Nah.
They'll hit him with every legal thing they can, though, and ruin him in every other way.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Another video game outlet I watch a lot is MinMax, and they actually have a video game IP lawyer that works for them.
Really?
Yeah, her name's Haley McLean, and she was talking about it on one of their shows, and she said there's the closest thing that they could get. I'm gonna screw this up, but she was saying like Palworld developers could just say it's parody more than like imitation or something like that, and they could pretty much get away with anything.
Yeah.
That and she also said like it really depends on the judge. Like if the judge ever sees it, I'll link to that video below. It's interesting, and maybe I'll send it to you, Jake, if you want to listen to it.
Okay. Yeah.
But she's really great. She's really smart, and I can't really remember what else she said, so I might have to rewatch it myself.
No, I'd be interested to hear more about that, just because it's interesting to hear what kind of the legal side of that is. Like, especially with, so many people saying how similar it is to Pokemon, like especially some of the character designs.
Yeah.
But I guess as long as it's not, an exact likeness, then they can just claim it's parody or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Last of Us Part 2, Jake. I texted you Friday morning. Happy Last of Us Day. You were all giddy. You were sitting on the chair in front of the window waiting for the mailman to drop it off. Okay, you can give us thumbs up, 2 thumbs down, 1 thumb up, or 2 thumbs up. How is The Last of Us Part 2 remaster?
I'm gonna go ahead and give it a
2. Okay.
A 1 3/4.
Okay, that's pretty close to perfect.
So what I will say is the actual upgrades to it are exactly what we said. I cannot tell the difference.
Yeah, visually.
Yeah, visuals or anything like that. But I will say that I think if you already owned it on PS4, I think it is worth the $10 upgrade to get it on PS5, because it's all it is. If you already own it, it's $10. And I actually saw that people who purchased The Last of Us 2 Remastered, who didn't do like the upgrade on the system, were getting sent like automatic refunds for $40 or something. Like they're basically taking the difference away, which I don't think I've ever seen that before.
No, that's good on Sony for that.
Yeah, but in terms of the game, it's good. I played through all of the lost levels, which is only 3 of them, and they're pretty short. I think it took me like 30 minutes to get through all of them.
Oh, okay.
But that was pretty cool. They went into some areas that like like some gaps in the story that I don't think like necessarily were needed, but it was interesting to see them talk about like where this would have fit in the story. And there's like director commentary throughout the whole level that you can choose to listen to if you want, that goes into like what their thought was with how this section would fit in the story and like what's going on around this time to kind of set up where it would be, and eventually why they decided to cut it. But But that was really interesting, especially for me as someone who loves the game and has played the original one 4 or 5 times now. It was definitely cool to see like something new from a story point that I had not experienced yet.
Yeah, watching your stream it looked really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Just I love that little glimpse behind the curtain, especially in video games, because you just so rarely get that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where because you were just kind of walking around that area, and then there's those little speech bubbles or something, and you can just walk
Mm-hmm.
up there, and they'll tell you a little snippet. That was really cool. So there was the part I saw was in Jackson, right? I think it was like
Mm-hmm.
at the very beginning of the game, and then the
Yeah.
next was in the sewers, like after she falls out the window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then what was the last one?
So the last one was called The Hunt, and it was basically right after the last, like, well, not the last, but the fight with Abby in Seattle at the theater.
Okay.
And right basically as a lead in to uh Ellie and Dina at the farmhouse where they lived for a little while. Um
Right.
and basically what it was is you're just playing as Ellie by herself, hunting down a boar um that like runs into this convenience store thing, and it turns into like kind of a boss fight but not really, because it takes like 2 shots and then
It's
the
just a pig.
boar runs into a back room. um and it kind of gets into the fact that Ellie is still very much like not over the whole um Joel and Abby thing.
Yeah,
um
that whole thing.
yeah, that, you know, if you know, you know. um but it's kind of dipping into her mental state with that, and showing that she is still choosing violence when she doesn't necessarily have to. And that one, it's probably good that you missed that section, because that one was rough.
Yeah.
I will say they did not hold back on the visuals, and especially the sound design on that one with the boar
Cool.
after it's been shot. um
Hmm.
and you have to go in for the finishing blow essentially.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was. I get what they were trying to do. They're trying to show that Ellie is like
Ladybug is on my mouse now.
thing is
Okay.
persistent.
Oh no.
But yeah, I get what they were trying to do. They're trying to show that Ellie is still like very much dealing with what's happened in not the healthiest way, and that she's
Mm-hmm.
still struggling. And it definitely is an impactful scene, but I don't think it was. I think leaving it out was the right choice. I think it would have been a little bit too much to
Yeah,
go
and they did
into
a good
this.
job. What was in the game, because it was like in the sheep with the sheep in the barn, right?
Yeah.
Is where she had her little break, her
Mm-hmm.
not little, her breakdown, and
Yeah.
then frickin' Tommy. I don't like Tommy.
Yeah.
Tommy made it all worse. He's the one that made her go. Anyway,
Yep.
if you don't know the story of Last of Us Part 2, like what are you doing? You don't have to play it. I'm too scared to play it. I just watch them on YouTube.
Yeah.
They're good, fun just to watch.
Yeah. At this point, just watch a, you don't even have to watch a full playthrough. I guarantee there's like a cutscene compilation.
Yep.
That'll tell you everything you need to know.
Search Last of Us Part 2 movie.
Yeah.
And it'll come up. And
Mhm.
it's probably only like 6 hours long. I don't know. You can watch it over a weekend.
Yeah. Watch it
One
on
of the
a plane.
best. Watch it on a plane. For all you people that fly all the time.
Yeah.
I am not one of those people, but
Yeah, I guess I am. But
No Return. Did you play
yes,
that?
I did.
Okay. I'm excited to hear your takes on this one.
So I've made it through one run of No Return, and basically it's a Last of Us roguelike mode.
Yeah.
So you start the run by picking your character, and you start off with only having Ellie and Abby as your choices. I picked Abby because, well, I think she's more
Te-
fun to play as.
Team
Um,
Abby.
you're basically like the Terminator. Um, but so you start off with just whatever their base weapon is, which is usually a pistol, and basically nothing else. And you get dropped into, I think there's 6 like stages, um, and they're all randomized. So it'll drop you in a random location with a random enemy type, um, and you just have to survive. So there's the one type that's called assault, and that's like waves of enemies, and it'll tell you right away how many there are. And that one you can be a bit more stealthy and kind of like figure out the way to take them down. Um, and that one's pretty fun. And then the other type is called hunted, and I think it's only done with infected. Um, but with that one, there's no stealth. They know exactly where you are right away, and it's just a fight for survival. So you can pick up ammo and supplies throughout the map, but they're usually small enough to where like you're kind of, you can't run very far. Um, and if you're not killing enemies, they're just going to continue adding more. So you have to be continuously taking out enemies as fast as you can, uh, until the timer runs out. So if you can survive for like I think it's like a minute and a half or something like that, um, no matter if there's still enemies in the lobby or not, like you've beat that at that point. Um, and then between each run or each challenge, you go back to your safe house, um, which I thought this was cool. Every character has their own safe house, and it's like specific to something for them in the game.
Okay.
So Abby's, for example, was the aquarium in Seattle.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
The gameplay I watched, she was in the lodge,
Oh,
um, right outside of Jackson.
really?
Yeah.
Huh. So
Cool.
maybe they have multiple then, because I
Must
only
be.
played one with her.
Okay.
And then Ellie's, because I started one run with Ellie. That one didn't go very well. I think I died in the first challenge on that one.
Yeah, it's all right.
But Ellie's was the like projector room at the theater in
Okay. Yep.
Seattle,
Yeah, that's what that
which
one was too.
I thought,
I don't know.
like that's, I guess that makes sense, but I almost thought that they would do like either the farmhouse or like something in Jackson that would be
I
more
need
meaningful to
to.
her.
Yeah, the gameplay I watched, that's what it was too. It was in that upper room. And
Hmm.
now I need to check. I swear it was the um oops. 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 The damn it. It's talking hard.
Me talking hard struggle.
That's definitely the lodge.
Okay. Yeah, I'll
Weird.
have to.
Yeah, so maybe you just kind of get random uh, safe houses, whatever they're called.
That's interesting. I
Yeah,
didn't even know that.
yeah,
Um,
that's pretty cool.
but yeah, it's definitely a fun way to mix up the gameplay if you enjoy the combat of The Last of Us, but you don't feel
Hmm.
like having to go through like the full story. Um,
It
go ahead.
it's unlimited combat for those who want it.
Yeah.
You don't have to play through the game and then have to stop
Hmm.
while there's while you're crying your eyes out or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've watched a lot of, not a lot, but I've watched some runs on YouTube, and it's I'm glad they didn't try to create a narrative with it.
Mm-hmm.
There's almost no talking. The characters don't have lines of dialogue or anything.
Mm-hmm.
You just get thrown in there. You pick your mission. There's like a slay the spire type branching tree where you pick your path,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, they just throw you in, kill these guys. Yay, you won. Here's some guns. You can upgrade your guns. You can roll for new guns. It's really it's the perfect combat for this kind of gameplay style, and I think they
Yeah.
did a really good job. You're unlocking skins, and the skins are pretty good, for my
Yeah.
opinion.
Mm-hmm.
They look pretty neat. Everyone's thirsting over Abby's like grunge style.
The
She's got
punk
like a
one. Yeah.
yeah, she got red lipstick and a
Yep.
big leather jacket. And then a lot of people, or I really like Ellie's different ones. Yeah, they've got, what is there, like 8 or 10 characters?
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's perfect, and it's perfect for those people who just want to dive into the combat. And I think it looks like a lot of fun. I think I would enjoy it.
yeah, it's definitely like, I'm sure it doesn't make up for the fact that the multiplayer game isn't happening,
Mm-hmm.
but it's definitely like a little bit of something for those people who just really enjoy the combat and want a random experience that they can play over and over and over.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's really good. I think you think it'll be contention for like game of the year. I
Um,
know it's not a full game, but like, are people going to be talking about this in the end of the year discussions? Are you and me going to be talking about this in the end of the year discussions?
I don't think so. I mean,
No, just a fun little game mode.
yeah, I think, and I don't really think that they intend for it to be like the big game of the year. I think
No.
is a cool little thing they could do where they can, I don't even, they may have not even upgraded anything. They may have just added a few more features and
Yeah.
said like it's a remaster, enjoy, like.
Ooh.
And the fact that, I've definitely been a bit disappointed in Naughty Dog over the last few years,
Mm-hmm.
with some of the decisions they've made, but this is one of the ones where, I saw it and all I could do is say, you know what, it's cool that they did that, that they put out a, pretty decent chunk of content for $10, um, for a game that a lot of people already own anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
literally just, it's like a DLC, but it's a whole extra game mode that you
Yeah.
get to play. I think that's worth it.
So this and uh, God of War Ragnarok Valhalla. Which one's better?
Okay. So that's tough because they're kind of similar.
Yeah, they're both a roguelike mode.
Yeah. I think I would have to give it to, well, I don't know. I think it depends on what you're looking for.
I broke Gooba,
Because
everybody. I broke
yeah,
him.
because God of War, I think is higher quality because of the fact that, um, it has narrative elements to it. But it
Okay.
also kind of makes it so it's not really an endless uh thing. Like you can continue to play it, I'm sure, even
Obviously,
after
yeah.
you beat it.
Yeah.
But the narrative elements, can only last so long.
True.
Where with The Last of Us, like they didn't even bother with trying to add a story to it. They just said, here's the combat, here's whatever character you want to play as, go have fun.
Yep.
So I think
And
it depends what you're looking for, but yeah.
I think if you're a fan of the base games, you're going to be a fan of these.
Yeah, very much so.
And like you're a fan of both, so you enjoy both.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever.
Yeah.
My message to Sony is where's Horizon's fun little game mode? Where is it? I guess they got a full DLC. And the other, I don't, God of War didn't, and neither did Last of Us, right?
Nope.
So I guess that's their game mode, and I haven't played that, which is a big shame.
Yeah.
As soon as there's like an off month or something, I'm gonna be playing that.
Yeah,
for sure. All right. Anything else you want to say?
It's real good. Naughty Dog.
You heard it here, folks. Last of Us Part 2 Remaster is really good.
You did a good job. Now keep that momentum going and put out Last of Us 3. Thank you.
Oh, man. I don't even want to think about Last of Us Part 3.
I'm a little bit, I'm nervous in general to see. I'm nervous for the future of The Last of Us. Like, they're about to start filming season 2 now.
Yeah.
So gotta wait to see what happens with that.
Oops. It was funny. My mom was asking me a while ago if there was any good shows that she needed to watch. And I just randomly thought of The Last of Us. She likes that kind of dark, gritty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked her if she'd seen it. She said no. I'm like, definitely check it out. It's based off of a very popular video game, but it's more drama than video game.
Mm-hmm.
I think you would like it. She watched the whole thing in like a day and a half. She absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And I asked her if it wrecked her emotionally, and she said no. She said,
what?
No, I got a little sad, but like nothing bad. Like, you made of stone? I never cry, and that freaking thing makes me cry every time. God.
Who are you?
Yeah, jeez, Mom.
Yeah, I don't think my mom could handle that one.
I won't let my wife watch it. I've said that before, and she cannot. I wouldn't be able to pick her up off the floor. She'd be completely destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, part 3 is only it's gonna be worse than part 2, right? Like, I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Ellie and Abby are gonna be best friends.
I think that Ellie and Abby, if there is a third one that has both of them, I think Ellie and Abby are going to be like reluctant companions.
Something's gonna force them to work together.
I think they're going to be fighting towards the same goal. And I made a whole video about this like 2 years ago, but I think that it would be a case where Abby has rejoined the Fireflies in some fashion, and they have another doctor or somebody who thinks they can still make the cure, and they only know one person who's immune, and that's Ellie. And they know most likely where she is, so they'll probably go and try and track her down and more or less try to convince her to try and do the right thing.
And now that she's lost Joel and she lost Dina,
mm-hmm.
maybe she'll make that sacrifice.
Yeah.
Does anybody outside of Ellie know that she's the only immune one?
Tommy. I mean, the only people who knew were the Fireflies, and in terms of like Joel and their crew, I think, well, Dina knows now. And Tommy and Maria know, but that's it.
Abby definitely doesn't know, right?
I think I
wouldn't think so.
She has to, because when
because
when
she was the
Abby like
fucking
confronts them at the
doctor's daughter.
theater, Ellie says like, uh, "There's no cure because of me. I'm the one that you want," or whatever. So if Abby didn't know before then she definitely knew then that Ellie was
Yeah,
the immune girl.
and maybe like Abby's dad had told her something about it too.
Yeah.
Ooh, so maybe they go on the hunt for Ellie. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of
Yeah.
cool.
I think it
Okay.
would be so. My theory for it was that they would go and try and convince Ellie that, you know, you still have a chance to be the cure. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it would kind of be like an ultimatum where I think Ellie would have rejoined Jackson in some way. Um, and even if like her and Dina aren't together anymore, like she's still a part of the community. And I think that they would try and meet with her privately to convince her to do this. But they would be like, if you don't show up here and, by this day, then we're going to come back and we're going to take you by force, basically.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So I don't, that's all speculation from just a
Yeah, of course.
dumb guy on the internet, but
Yeah, a couple
like,
of fans.
yeah, but I think that's an interesting way to continue the story if it needs to continue.
Oh, it needs to continue.
Yeah.
It needs to continue. All right, Last of Us Part 2. You heard it here. It's good.
You heard the whole thing.
We don't talk about it enough, so.
Definitely not.
Okay, the Xbox Developer Direct. Did you watch it? I gave you the homework to watch it. Failed. You failed. Failed.
So if this were in terms of homework, let's say I did the Spark Notes version.
Okay, that works too. That works too.
No, I watched the trailers for pretty much all of these games. So
okay, well, that's it.
I'm familiar with what was announced, basically.
That's all we ask. Okay, you get a B.
I'll take it.
I'm good with it.
Better than I actually did in school, I think.
Yeah, right. So the presentation was actually really good. It was very just to the point. The presentation was really cool. I'll include the trailers below us right now. But it just looked really cool. And so the first game they showed was Avowed. Avowed is from Obsidian Games. I think their most recent one is Outer Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it Outer Wilds? I can't remember. I think it's Outer Worlds.
I think it's Outer Worlds. Outer Wilds was like an indie game.
Yeah. Okay. I just get the two confused because they came out like 2 weeks apart.
Mm-hmm.
They also made Fallout New Vegas. I think they had some help in the or some hand in Oblivion, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So they know how to make their RPGs. I never played Outer Worlds, so I don't know if it's good, but they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So Avowed is a fantasy-based RPG. Really looked like Skyrim. It had a interesting art style. Nothing really wowed me about it though.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. They showed off some combat. You were dual wielding wands and slinging spells and fighting weird enemies. But I mean, it looked like any other RPG's combat. They talked about how there's consequences in your dialogue choice. That's cool. Nothing new. But that can make it fun. And besides that, I'm not super sure they showed anything that wowed me. What did you think? What were your impressions?
Honestly, like, I will start by saying that I'm not the target audience for this game anyway. I've never been a big fan of Elder Scrolls or, RPGs like that. Um, but with that said, like, there are things in with this game that could have excited me, but just didn't. Like, the
Right.
things that they showed looked very basic, like Elder Scrolls style RPG.
Yeah.
Um, which I don't know. If I have to give them credit on anything, is that cover art is insanely cool.
Coolest cover art I've ever seen.
Yeah,
It's in the thumbnail. I already made it.
yeah,
It was the first thing I googled.
it needed to be.
Yep.
But yeah, just watching the gameplay, it's still just like very, just kind of bland. Like,
Yeah.
shoot a few blue sparks with a wand and swing a
Mhm.
sword, like, you know, back and forth. There's no like different variations of it. It just seems like, you know, something we've played 1,000 times, just with a little bit of
Yes.
different skin on it.
Yep. And the art style is a little different, but it's not enough to wow me by itself.
Yeah.
So they announced it's going to come out in fall 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows when that is? That'll probably get delayed. But I mean, we're at least a few more trailers away. You know, maybe it'll get its own showcase event
Mm-hmm.
where they can show off some more gameplay elements. I mean, or features. Like I hope there's more to it than just interesting dialogue and dual wielding wands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I believe this is the one that has is this the one that has Todd Howard as executive producer?
No,
Oh, okay.
that
No,
was
wait,
Indiana. That
that's
was
Indiana
Indiana
Jones.
Jones.
Yeah. Which we'll
Yes,
get
it
into
would
that.
not be an Xbox Direct if there wasn't an appearance from our Lord and Savior, Todd Howard. We'll
Yeah.
get to him in a minute, though.
Yeah.
So Avowed Fall 2024. I don't know. You need to show me. They need to show a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody was truly wowed by it.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like that was the consensus. Is like everyone was kind of just like, okay, that's a game.
Video game.
Yep.
It's kind of like how I felt after I watched Saltburn, and I said that was a movie. I don't know what I watched. Did you watch Saltburn?
No, I've heard some stuff about it.
Wow. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about that movie. It was a movie. That's all
That's
I'll say.
a
Somebody wrote that down on paper, and then somebody else decided, yeah, let's do it. Let's film it. And then nobody stopped to say, why are we doing this? So, and then the movie came out.
yeah, that's a thing that you watched.
Yep. Would I recommend it? If you like weird stuff, yeah. Like if you want to sit on your couch and watch a movie that makes you go, "What the fuck?" Yeah, that's the movie. That's the movie for you. That's the movie for you.
I will keep.
All right,
That
we're
in
off
mind.
topic.
Yeah.
We're off topic. We're off topic. The next game they showed was Hellblade 2.
Mm-hmm.
This one was interesting to watch. So they're showing like inside the studios. You're talking to developers. They actually had the voice actress and the motion capture and actress for Senua, who's just really great. I love it when she talks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this I don't really care about. I don't know why I'm contradicting myself already. I don't want to play this game. It looks too scary, but I love seeing stuff on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they do such a good job. Um, They also talk to the mental health expert because the main character has psychosis, so they really want to make sure they get it right.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's good game development right there. Just making sure that what you're doing in the game is done right. And there's a shot in this. I don't know if you saw it. Like the whispers, where I talk about the whispers that are playing in
Mm-hmm.
her head that you're hearing too. They showed a shot of two women like walking around a microphone, whispering into it.
Oh,
So they're capturing that audio, so that's what plays in your head or in her head. Like that's just so cool.
yeah.
And they had like the audio director on there talking about how in the first game they had like 3D audio, but only for the stuff that was in your head. And now they've got 3D audio for like everything. Like it's just so interesting to get, peek behind that curtain and see that kind of stuff. I find the development for this game just fascinating, and I don't know why, but it's just a cool project. And but I'm too scared to play it.
Yeah, that's the first game falls under the category of I am so intrigued by it and I would love to know what happens, but I'm too scared to ever continue playing it. Like I think I've started it probably 4 or 5 times and I never make it past like the first stage because it's all it's almost exhausting a little bit uh like emotionally because
Yeah.
there's just, especially if you're playing with headphones, there's constantly whispers in your head and you know you never know like what's coming next. And even though the combat is very like it's pretty simple, it's basically just like dodge, parry, strike with a sword over and over
Mm-hmm.
again. um but there's something about it that's really daunting, especially because you can it's essentially a permadeath run for the entire game.
Is
So
it okay?
if you die, you can die, but if you die more than like every time you die, I think it's called like the darkness or something, takes a little bit more of you. Um, and you see like it literally like a black spot like creeping up your arm.
Okay, yeah, I
And
remember that.
the more you die, the bigger that spot gets. And if it ever makes it to your head, then your run is over and you have to start over again.
Oof.
Um, I've never made it to that point because I'm too scared
It's
to
scared. I'm too
get into
scared.
it.
Yeah, I'm too scared to die that many times.
Yeah, but
Um, yeah, I love Hellblade. I will never not watch a cool deep dive on it, but
yeah,
I don't think I can play it.
it's yeah. I heard a take on it today actually that
Oops.
I had never heard before, but I kind of agreed with it. And it's like I'm a little bit scared that they've bit off more than they can chew with this development. Because I feel like it's been in the works for years and they keep showing more and more of it. And it's like every new technology goes directly into this. So it's like the most advanced game we've ever seen in terms of visuals and audio and all this stuff. But it's essentially for like a not an indie studio, but it's not like a full game. I think it's
No,
only going to be $50. Um,
yeah. I call it like a double A studio.
yeah, but they just continue to put more and more money into it, and it's kind of like I'm afraid of when it comes out if it doesn't live up to all of the expectations that the studio themselves have put out.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And it's supposed to be like a shorter experience.
Yeah.
Less than 10 hours, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So
So,
it's gonna be, yeah, it's just gonna be like a tech demo.
mhm.
I'm not gonna call it a demo, but it's, yeah, like you said, there's just a ton of new technology that goes into this and cool stuff like that. But yeah, I hope it doesn't flop,
Yeah.
because it'd be cool just to see what else this Team Ninja, I believe, is the develop
Ninja Theory is
Ninja
the
Theory.
studio.
Well,
Mhm.
what's Team Ninja? Dang it.
Team Ninja, I think, is
Oops.
are they the guys that make Neo?
Ooh, you're right. Look at you, smarty pants.
I
I was
watch a lot of
close.
YouTube.
Yeah, I was close. I was close. Ninja Theory. not to be confused with Team Ninja.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like to see what else they could do.
Yeah.
That's not so scary.
I'm excited for it. More just to see what people's perception of it is. I don't know if I'll ever be brave enough to actually play through those games, but I like to think that I will someday.
Me too. Maybe someday. That's out May 21st, so we don't have just under 4 months to wait for that one.
Yeah, not too far.
Not too far. Any other thoughts on Hellblade 2?
No, I guess not.
Okay.
I was gonna try and think of something witty, and I couldn't.
Yeah, that's fine. Next is Visions of Mana. This was kind of a surprise. They only teased 4, but they brought in a 5th, and it was Square Enix's Visions of Mana. Apparently, the Mana series is very long and very popular. Never heard of it. It's been a while since the last Mana game, I guess, but this is brand new. Looks like a JRPG. They brought out a character designer who is a cooler dude than me or you could ever dream of being. He has the coolest like leather jacket and some chains and stuff. He was a cool dude, but he talked about how he's a character designer, and he designed all these characters when he was in like high school or something like that. It was crazy that he's kept all these for so long, and now they brought him back to put his original drawings into the game as monsters and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. Gameplay wise, it's got a very what kind of word am I looking for? The art style is, I don't know, it bugs me, and I couldn't really tell you why. And also, it looks like it's moving at like 0.75 speed, like as the character's running or like swinging his sword. It's so slow. Like, why couldn't you speed things up just a little bit more? And it just looks like it would be exhausting to move that slow. I don't really have much else to say. I would like to try this, but it's probably going to be a full $60-$70 game, and I don't think I would try a game for $70 that I might not like. Maybe there's a demo or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to see, like, if it's ever part of Game Pass or something like that, then maybe it'd be worth a shot. Doesn't really look like my type of game, but...
Jake, do you ever think I could get you to play a JRPG? And enjoy it is the
maybe
key here.
It all would depend on what the gameplay loop looks like.
Maybe, folks, I got a maybe.
I'll give you a maybe. If
maybe.
You know what type of games I like, so if
Final Fantasy 15, I feel like would be the closest to your type of game.
Okay.
Maybe 16, but that doesn't really play like a JRPG. 15 definitely does.
Yeah. I think I did briefly try Final Fantasy 15 when it first came out.
Yeah, I remember you doing that.
But that was also during a time when I was just buying like every new game.
Yeah.
So it probably was one that I played for a couple hours, and then I was like, oh, this other thing, I got to try that out. And then, just never came back to it.
That's fine. Yeah, 15 was controversial anyway. I didn't think it was good. You played a couple hours of it. I played like 180 hours of it. I freaking loved that game.
Yeah.
I actually never finished it. There was a DLC that I never played.
Oh yeah.
And I have a book here somewhere that is like the alternate ending to the game that they were gonna make a DLC for, but Square Enix said no, you're out of money. So they just had someone write a book about it, and I think it's like the happier ending, because the ending of that game isn't very happy. But I haven't read it yet.
Didn't they also make like an animated movie to go along with
Oh
that?
yeah, yeah, and I think that's part of the problem with people had with it. It was animated, but man, for 2017 or 2016, it was good. It had
Yeah.
the Aaron Paul was the star, was the main
Really?
guy.
Wow.
Yeah, and the animation was good. It wasn't like anime.
Hmm.
It was like a I don't know. It was really good. That was Kingsglaive was the name of that movie, and that was a pretty good movie.
Okay.
And then there was an actual anime that they just released on YouTube. That was called Brotherhood. That
Okay.
was that was good too. But that was the problem Final Fantasy 15 had, is you had to play 15 different forms of media to understand what was going on.
Yeah.
There was even like the playable demo had narrative to it that made the main game make more sense. So I think that's where they struggled.
Yeah.
But yeah, Visions of Mana 7 summer 2024.
Right.
JRPG fans rejoice, I guess. Next was I believe it's pronounced Ara, something like that. History Untold. This is a 4X strategy game, and I've said it before. That is a genre I so desperately want to love, and I want to get into it. So I really want to play this game. Civilization series draws the closest comparison, where you're choosing a leader through history. You can pick like Egypt or Poland, or I don't know
Hmm.
the specifics. I'm just talking of my Civ experience. You pick a leader, and they have special attributes. They have special skills, and you start in a town, and you kind of build up that town. It's all turn based. There's other people in the world that are building up their towns and cities and going to war with each other and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I've played Civilization a little bit on my Switch, and that's not how you want to play that game. So I really want to give this game a good shot and try to get into a good 4X strategy game. It seemed like a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Um, what did you think? Anything cool?
I'm
Yeah,
kind of I'm kind of
video
with you,
game.
and it's a type of game that I think looks really interesting, and I wish I understood it better.
Yeah, I've
Like,
tried. I've played Stellaris. I've played um, Crusader Kings 3. I've played um, Civilization. Uh, what's another 4X game? I don't know. I've tried, and it just hasn't stuck with me. I just
mm,
feel like I'm so far behind on all this smart people stuff, and I have to watch all these tutorials to really get it. So I'm hoping like a brand new IP, and there's not 600 DLCs out already. It's easy enough to get into. Not I don't have to feel like I'm way far behind, and I can
mm,
just get into this game in my own way. So I'm looking forward to it. Fall 2024. Um, yeah, I'm excited for this one.
yeah. So far, all of these games are releasing, or they're set to release this year.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. We were just talking last week how thin 2024 is already, but I mean,
Hmm.
Christ, it's only January. So already we've got sorry, um, 5 new games coming out.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think I said it last time, is right now, or at the start of the year, there wasn't a whole lot to that I was really even looking forward to, but I was excited to see what games just kind of popped up
yeah,
that we don't know about yet that
Mm-hmm.
took over the year. And I'm not saying anything on this list is that game, but just the fact that, we're 3 weeks into the year and we're already saying like, well, these are all games that are coming out this year that are pretty big.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
got
This
me
is
excited to see.
got me excited too. Hopefully, yeah, these are all games that we've heard of before. Like these weren't new announcements at all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Ara History Untold. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Hopefully this one I can stick with this one. And finally, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Jake, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of a shit do you give about Indiana Jones?
I'll give it a solid 6.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of care about Indiana Jones.
I am intrigued by it. I feel like I say
Okay.
that about a lot of games. But I think the reason I'm interested by this is just it's not what I expected.
True.
Like when I think Indiana Jones video game, the first thing that would come to mind is like it's going to play just like Uncharted.
Yeah.
It's going to be third person. There's going to be a lot of traversal and puzzles and all that stuff. Probably some combat. And then when it was first person, I was kind of like, oh, really? I didn't expect that.
Yeah, interesting.
I think the whip being such a like heavy part of the gameplay from what it looks like, that like you would expect that knowing Indiana Jones, but
Right.
it's still cool to see it in action.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, I guess I should preference that I don't really care about Indiana Jones. Like, I think I've seen maybe one of the movies.
Yeah. I would say I'm about like a -4.
Really?
How much I care about Indiana Jones, I don't. But I mean, the game looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first person, I'm not sure if that's gonna hurt it or not.
So the thing that if people haven't figured it out already, this is the game that has Todd Howard as a executive producer.
Yes, we forgot to mention Todd Howard.
Yeah. And after Todd's last big title, I think a lot of people are a little bit skeptical on, is this gonna play as cool as it looks right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
And for their sake, I hope it does, but my hopes are not that high at the moment.
No, I agree. So this is from Machine Games, who made all the Wolfenstein games.
Yeah.
So all those games are first-person shooters. So I
Mhm.
mean, it kind of makes sense that Indiana Jones would be in first person as well. But yeah, like the whip, the whip was kind of cool. I mean, you could sling it and trip people or hit people in the face, or like use it as a distraction. Like at one point, he smacks it against a light, or like a light pole,
Mhm.
and a guard's like, "Oh, what was that?"
And
And
I think you can use it as like a grappling hook too.
yeah, he's slinging it up. And he's rappelling up the building.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, if they can make that a really good game mechanic, it might be cool. I won't play it.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I want to play that game.
Yeah.
But that they just gave that 2024, so delayed.
Yeah. No.
2025.
We'll see that one next year.
Yep. Because they. Oh no, they didn't. Well, they gave Avowed fall 2024.
Okay.
So maybe Indiana Jones might be like a holiday release at the earliest.
Yeah. I have a hard time believing that they're gonna make this year. especially because I think have they said anything about this yet, or is this the first time we're seeing it?
They've mentioned it. I think we got a little like teaser,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the Elder Scrolls 6 one.
Ah, the JPEG.
But yes, I think it was just a JPEG.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is the first time we've ever seen gameplay. They got Harrison Ford's face and voice pretty good.
Yeah.
And
So
it
they
looks
did
like
get his
Harrison
face.
Ford.
It's the voice. Our boy Troy Baker.
Is it Troy Baker?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Which
I wasn't sure.
I mean, it makes sense because there was no way they could afford Harrison Ford. Like,
Probably not. No.
he is probably the most expensive man in Hollywood. And I don't think they were going to get him to commit to however long it was going to take to record this game.
No, and he's old, and
Yeah.
he doesn't sound like he did when he was 30 or whatever, however old he was in those movies. But Troy Baker, he can do a hell of a Harrison Ford impression. Pretty good.
Yeah, I hope it does well. If anything, for our boy Troy's sake. But yeah,
Troy's doing just
I don't know if I'll play it unless it's like on sale at some point.
It'll be an interesting one to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the fun thing about video games is, it doesn't have to be your cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sometimes it's just fun just to follow a project like Hellblade 2. Like I love hearing and seeing things about that.
Yeah, it's I get a lot of enjoyment out of watching and hearing things about games that I will probably never play.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's interesting to hear, what people are doing in video games, and like what things people enjoy.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't have the time or the money to play every new game that comes out, but it's still exciting to see like what's going on in gaming.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the fun part.
Mm-hmm.
Well, stay tuned for all the new RPGs coming out this year, Jake, that you won't play because I will.
Yeah,
and that's what's good about this duo.
Mm-hmm.
We have pretty different tastes in video games, I feel. So
yeah,
what you're not playing, I'm playing. When I'm not playing, you're playing. So that works sometimes.
yeah. You'll hear all about the narrative adventure games from me, and then I'll hear about all the RPGs that I don't understand from you.
Awesome. Love it. All right. Well, that's it for the Developer Direct. Are we ready to move on to our random roll review?
I believe we are.
Okay. Do you care if I go first?
I would be honored.
Gee, thanks. Okay. So 2 weeks ago, we went through our random roll review spreadsheet. If you didn't see that, jump back to the last episode. Go to the time code. You can see us pick our games. I landed on Devil May Cry, the original one. And it's been fun. I've enjoyed it so far. Full disclosure, I did not finish it. I'm sorry. Your boy's busy and stuff. It's by no means a long game. I definitely should have finished it. But it's difficult. And I'll get into that. So first I just kind of did some background. This is a very popular game, so a lot of people probably already know this stuff. It was developed by Capcom, directed by Hideki Kamiya, which I recognize that name right away. He's made all the Bayonetta games.
Okay.
And he directed Resident Evil 2. So he worked at Capcom for a while, and then he moved on to Platinum Games. So Resident Evil 2, a very famous game. Devil May Cry, very famous game, but this is the only one he worked on in that series. Right after this, he moved on to other things. It came out in 2001 on PlayStation 2, and I did some research on like what other games came out in 2001. 2001 was a heck of a year for video games. Grand Theft Auto 3, Max Payne, Silent Hill 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, Final Fantasy X, the first Halo, and Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
Most important, obviously.
Yes, I saw that and my eyes got big. And I like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, if I haven't said that before on this show.
You have.
Okay, good. It got really good reviews. Game Informer gave it a 9.5. IGN gave it a 9.6. The game itself, like getting into that, it absolutely shows its age. 2001. It's not super accessible. Things I liked most about it. Combat's very good. So you're story-wise, I didn't follow much of the story. There's some dialogue, but not a lot of it. So you're kind of shoved into this castle. You're on the hunt for, I think, some demon that apparently, I think, killed your mother. I apologize. I know all the DMC fans here are going to be hating on all this, but you're shoved into a castle. The combat is good, and it took me a very long time to figure it out. I said this isn't a very long game. Like, the how long to beat was only like 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet I spent 6 hours on like the first couple areas. So the game's broken up into missions, and there's 23 missions. I made it through 19 of them, 18 or 19 of them. And the first probably 4, I was not playing this game right. Not in the least. It took me forever to figure out the controls. So you're jumping with B, which is blasphemous, using B to jump. But
Disgusting.
you can disgusting. Y on the, or is it X? I think it's X on Switch. The top button that swings your sword, and then A and X are just like to investigate things. Well, you're carrying these guns. You're dual wielding these pistols, and I can't figure out how to shoot the gun. And I struggled for a while to figure that out. Turns out you have to hold down R and then press X to be able to shoot your gun. But once I figured that out, that's super satisfying. Mm-hmm. Unlimited ammo. You don't even have to reload. Just mash X as hard as you can, and you will just shoot. So that's a lot of fun. I found a grenade gun, which is just essentially a grenade launcher. And boy, was that was when the game got really fun.
Yeah.
That thing is OP as heck. But through the first few boss battles, I was dying so often. There's a save feature where you can save like anywhere if you push minus. Mm-hmm. Didn't know that for a while. I thought you could only save in between chapters. So as I was dying through these boss battles, if you have yellow orbs, you can restart at a checkpoint. But once you run out of those yellow orbs, you have to start back over at a save, which is at the beginning of the chapter, which was like 3 boss fights ago.
Oh no.
Yeah. And Kamiya, I read an interview, I think it was with Kamiya. But it was asked about, like, before the game released, like, can they expect like environmental puzzles like you see a lot in Resident Evil? And he said no, you're not going to have a lot of environmental puzzles. The puzzles is going to be the boss fights, the combat. You're going to have to figure out how exactly to beat these bosses. And I've very much felt that. he said the difficulty is very much intentional. He wanted it to be a challenge to those who played light casual games. Nailed it,
Yeah.
because I like my light casual JRPGs, and this was nuts. Visually, it looks like a 2001 game. It's probably an up-res version, but the enemy designs are really cool. Um, let's see, the music is really good. Masami Ueda is the one of the composers. I think there was three others. He's done a few Bayonetta games. He did Resident Evil 2 and 3 and Devil May Cry 4 and this one, obviously. So the music's really good. Let's see. The biggest thing, and maybe the only thing I did not like, is the camera. It's not a free looking camera. As you walk into one area of a room, the camera's facing one way and you can't move it. And as you get to another area of the room, the camera changes to like a different vantage point.
Okay.
So you could be traversing the same room and get like 3 different camera angles. Very annoying. Because as like you could be pushing, the camera's behind Dante, who's the main character. The camera can be behind Dante. You're walking to a door, and like halfway there, the camera jumps to now in front of Dante. Well, you're holding the control stick forward, but as the camera stick moves, now you're holding backwards, so Dante turns around, and you're just stuck you could be stuck in a loop. So you gotta shit. All right, back up. All right. Now I can turn the control stick the other way. That's annoying, and it does it during boss fights too. So if you're far enough away from the boss, you can't see it. You're just shooting, blind.
Yeah.
And I just want to be able to turn that camera, or just keep the camera behind Dante the whole time. And so that's where I really struggled. And like Kamiya said, the puzzles trying to figure out how to beat these bosses was kind of hard. And once I kind of started to figure out how to do this, because there's a menu in the game. So you have to hit pause and you have to go to weapons or something like that. And then its abilities, and you'll go to the weapon, and then it'll tell you like how to use the abilities for the game. And it's like, it says, while in devil trigger mode, hold this and then do this. And I said, what the heck is devil trigger mode? Because I didn't know. There's no like pop-ups that say, push this to enter devil trigger mode, which is fine, but I had to look that up. And it's, you press down L once you have your devil trigger meter full, which I had wondered what those symbols were. And that was your devil trigger meter. So once you hit that, you're more powerful. You can do better combos. You get access to new abilities. Your guns shoot way faster and more powerful. So once I figured that out, things were going much better. So I got through like chapter 4 with like an hour or 2 of actual gameplay, but I had been playing for like 5 hours. I struggled for so long in that. And I feel like if I hadn't done that, I definitely would have finished it. I don't think I was that far behind. But yeah, the bosses are cool. The combat is fun once you figure it out. But yeah, that camera is so crappy. My least favorite part. It makes it really hard to play. I had one more topic. What was it? Oh, the underwater sections. I mean, the environments are really good too. Cool little, not puzzles, but just boss fight. Like there's a certain boss fight where you have to smack a thing on the wall, which gets the lights to turn on, which is the only way to damage a certain boss. as if the lights are on. So it's little things like that. That's what Camille's talking about is figuring out the puzzles to beat them. And a lot of little random things are happening to you. You know, you're trying to walk across a bridge, but the bridge collapses and breaks into pieces that are just floating there, and you've got to jump onto those platforms. And if you make it across, great. But as you step on them, they start to wiggle and then they fall. Mario Party style, you know? And if you don't make it, you fall into like some water. Now you've got like a secret boss fight. If you, as I'm running away from something, I go in a door I think is the right door, but it's not. Another secret boss fight. The exploration of it really encourages exploration, which I think is fun, and it rewards you with extremely hard boss fights that I didn't beat any of them. Okay, back to the underwater levels. The underwater sucks. The camera all of a sudden is first person. The controls are inverted, so up is down, down is up. You have to press B to swim. So you're holding B to move around. They tell you that there's an underwater needle gun. That's the only gun that can be used underwater. So I'm trying to figure out how to use it. Turns out you just don't have it yet, so you got to go find it, and you just got to run away from the enemies. So I didn't like the underwater sections. I'm disappointed I didn't get to finish it. The last thing I did was I finally killed, I don't know what its name was, but it was the demon that comes out of the mirror. I beat him, and I got a really cool like big sword.
Nice.
Yeah. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. It's just not my type of game. It's very, very combat focused. And, it felt a lot like a Dark Soulsy game. The difficulties on purpose. It's just I don't like sucking that much. I've never, we've known each other a long time. I've never claimed to be good at video games, so it's not fun to die over and over again. I'm like, but I made myself like I can't quit 2 hours into a game just because I suck at it. So I've eventually cracked and started looking stuff up, and yeah, once I figured that out, things were got a lot easier. Mission structure was kind of fun. The missions differed from mission to mission. Sometimes missions were go find this artifact and throw it in the fire, and that would take you like 20-30 minutes. Or sometimes one mission you picked up a certain item that drained your health, and your mission was and that was in like the basement of a castle, and your mission was to get it back to the top of the castle before it killed you. And along, as you're running, you're getting attacked by enemies and bosses, and you need to kill them while your health is being drained. So that it was really interesting and a fun change of pace. There was a couple missions like that, but yeah, I'm disappointed I didn't get to finish it. I think the final boss would have been too hard anyway, but I'm sure it would have been really fun. The last thing, I know Devil May Cry is a very very loved franchise, so I wanted to make sure I kind of did it right and gave it its service. And so I went to Reddit, the crazy place for crazy people, and I went to the Devil May Cry subreddit, and I just made a little post on there explaining what this was and what we were doing, and I wanted some input from longtime fans or people that really care about this franchise, because like I said, I know it's adored and really loved, so I wanted to make sure I kind of did its service, like I already said. But a couple very nice people responded and gave me a ton of little tidbits.
Mm-hmm.
I just asked for, what are some favorite fun facts or interesting things about the game that I wouldn't find in a developer interview or on the Wikipedia page, because I could just read a Wikipedia page, but that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty boring in my opinion.
Yeah.
So the name's gonna get me. It's YAQtitude. Kind of maybe a play on attitude. I'm not really sure. But they said something interesting. They said a minor gameplay fact: there are no mixed enemy formations. You only ever get one type of enemy at a time in Devil May Cry because the PS2 RAM couldn't handle it. The only exceptions are ones where the enemies are basically the same, or they are partitioned in waves, which is very true. There's only there's like some marionette type enemies, but there could be like 4 or 5 of them at one time, but yeah, it's just them, or it's the weird like scissor ghosts. Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would have noticed that otherwise if they hadn't said that. Did it say it's the only series to be directed by Hideki Kamiya, which I mentioned. And the DMC1 was originally one of many possible prototypes for Resident Evil 4. So the idea
Really?
for Devil May Cry was, to be Resident Evil 4, but let's see. If you get the game via the collection that has 1, 2, and 3, it has some concept art in the game selection menu that really hints at that connection. So I guess it just kind of branched off into its own, obviously its own thing, and Resident Evil 4 became its own thing, which was kind of cool, I thought. And then one other person, ComKill117, they left a lot, like a dozen little things.
Yeah.
And they also said they don't know much about the game, so I hope this is interesting though. I'm like, dude, you know a ton about this game. Let's see. They said it was the only game that had more than 20 missions. Let's see. There's a really cool one that I had to go back and do, but throughout the game, you're fighting this lava spider, for the lack of a better term, called Nightmare, and you fight it in like a really small like castle area, but there's a window on the floor that leads to like a basement. And they said there's a secret way to kill it. You could kill it like normal, like I did, but once I read that, I went back and looked. But yeah, there's that window in the floor, and if he has an attack where he jumps really high and then slams on the ground, and if you can get him to jump on that window enough times, he just falls through that, and you don't even got to damage him. So I thought that's a really cool touch for a 2001 game. A lot of little tidbits on costumes and guns. It's like Easter eggs that are in there. I'll leave a link to my post. You could read all of these. I said it's the only game with a secret mission. You need to go through multiple rooms, which always makes me get lost. I'm glad they cut that in future games. I didn't find that, but yeah, that's why it's a good secret. And yeah, it would be very easy to get lost. There is a map, but it's not very good. Let's see. There was one more that I found really cool. There was a short-lived Canadian comic based on DMC1. It only had 2 chapters released and part of a 3rd finished. Fate that would also befall the DMC3's manga. Yeah, I read there was a manga for this stuff too. Doesn't sound like that was very popular though, unfortunately. It was almost called Carnival with a K. Um, but they named a song after it instead.
Mm-hmm.
Carnival. Yeah, just tons of little things. Like I knew there would be fans that just loved these games and would have all these little interesting tidbits. So thank you to them very much for answering. Uh, I told them I'd give them a shout out on my very unpopular podcast. But yeah,
How dare you?
thanks. Thanks to those two. Yeah, and that's Devil May Cry, baby. I don't think I've got much more to say.
Well, I think you nailed it. I I think I knew that, knowing how long running that franchise is and going in on the first one, it's like you were probably gonna be opened up to just an entire world of lore and different things about that game. So it sounds like it was if anything, even if it wasn't the like type of game that you usually be into, I think it seems like it was at least interesting to get into that world a little bit and learn more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like if I stumbled across like DMC5 or something like that, I think this would be a series you definitely want to start with the newer stuff and work your way back
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. Just to it shows its age, especially with the camera and the controls. Or at least trying to figure out the controls. But other than that, I thought it was very good. I wish I would have been able to finish it, but that's all I got. Let's move on to John Wick Hex.
All right. Well, I will preface by saying that this is not going to be anywhere near as well thought out and intricate as yours was.
Okay.
So John Wick Hex is a game that came out in 2019, obviously based off of the John Wick movies.
You don't say.
Yeah. It was released by Bithell Games, which I'm not really familiar with any of their other games. I think they so they have a Tron game, and then I think probably their biggest game that they're most known for is called Thomas Was Alone.
Yep.
Which I have not played, but I've definitely heard a lot about.
Yep.
And really, I think this was another case of I think we should have switched games because this was so not for me.
Really? Okay.
Going into this, I didn't really know anything about it, but from what I had seen, I thought that it was going to be like a top-down action shooter. It turns out it's a strategy game. So the basic premise is that you're playing as John, obviously, and the hotel manager. Have you seen the John Wick movies? Okay.
I'm not.
Okay. Well, two characters from the movies, one of them played by Dennis Reddick, rest in peace,
R.I.P.
are taken captive by some enemy. I can't even remember his name right now. The enemy, we've said his name a lot tonight, is also voiced by Troy Baker. So,
are you serious? Troy Baker was in there?
Yeah.
Jeez, did Alana Pierce write it or anything? 3/4 of Play, Watch, Listen. Jesus.
Austin Wintory is the composer.
Yeah.
But no, so it's a strategy game. So basically you go into an area and you only have a certain amount of moves that you can make, and each move takes up a certain amount of focus. So once you get close enough, you can see enemies within a certain area, and you can choose whether or not you want to take a shot with your pistol, and it'll give you how accurate your shot will be. It's like if you have an 80% chance of making it, then you can choose whether you want to step closer but use more focus, or sometimes you can throw your pistol and that might have a better chance of hitting them, but it's not going to kill them. It's only going to stun. And then you can kind of plan out your moves from there. And it was, I can definitely see how people who enjoy strategy games would like this. It's definitely a more action focused strategy game, but for me, it was just like, I just want to shoot stuff, man. Like, I don't have like the forethought to say like, okay, well, if I take one step here, then I can shoot this guy, but I'm not like out within the sight line of this other guy that just appeared.
Mm-hmm.
And like I can crouch here, but then every move I make takes more focus, and there's just so many little factors to it that I couldn't keep up with all of it. I kind of think I'm too dumb for this type of game.
Oh yeah, I feel that.
But I gave it my best shot. I made it through a few sections of it, and there is like sort of a story aspect. Like after you make it through each level, it'll cut back to your companions that you're trying to save, talking to the villain, and I think as John Wick, you're like trying to fight through this horde of people to get to them, to save them. So there is an interesting aspect to that where, it's not just like go out and do this for no reason. There's a little bit of a motive behind it, but again, it was a well-made game. I think it got pretty much like 6s and 7s across the board for reviews and stuff.
Very okay.
I am a little bit annoyed because I paid full price for it, and it's now $2 on Switch. It's a 90% discount right now.
Oh, I bet DM's Devil May Cry is the same. Cause
yeah, I wouldn't even look. Don't do it to
yeah,
yourself.
you know what? You're probably right. I won't. Dang it.
But yeah, John Wick Hex. Respect to the studio. I will say it's a very cool art style.
Yeah. So what about like the mission structures? Like, is it just kill these enemies, or is there like some more, like you need to rescue this person and get him out? Or
if there is more variation to it, I have not seen it.
okay.
Everything that I've seen so far after maybe 2 hours ish of gameplay, which it's not a very long game to my understanding.
Okay. Did you roll credits on it or no?
No.
Okay.
Everything that I've seen has just been, you walk into a room or a certain area and like enemies will come out from different places, and then sometimes there'll be enemies up on like a balcony, and your whole objective is just, how do I kill all of them with the resources that I have?
Okay.
And that is a very, that is an interesting concept, because it's not like with every enemy I kill, I can just pick up their ammo and keep going shooting as much as I want. You can only carry one clip at a time, or I think you can get more clips, but it's not like you can, if you kill somebody and there's ammo on the ground, you can't just pick up their ammo and add it to your inventory. You either have to take their gun or you have to keep yours. So if I have 7 bullets left and they have 8, I can pick that up, but I don't get 15 then. I just get 8.
Good math. Good math.
Yeah.
So like the strategy behind it would be managing your resources and your focus enough to defeat all the enemies.
Basically, yeah.
Is it possible like to fail? Like, would you have to try to fail something at a, a an encounter?
Oh, it's definitely possible to fail.
Oh,
I
okay.
did a few
Okay.
times. Like
All
it's
right.
like because there's just some times where uh you really do have to, as the genre states, you have to be strategic about
You got to be strategic in a strategy game.
like you know when you die, like you'll restart at the beginning of that room or that section, so you kind of know where everyone's gonna be. Um, but there's still the obstacle of like there might be a guy up on a balcony and he'll start in the same spot, but he's not gonna move the same way every time. So you have to kind of figure out like in order to go after certain people without getting into the line of sight of somebody else who can shoot you when you're not looking that way. And especially if you're low on health, which I was a lot of the time, because you don't get health packs, or I think they're just bandages. You don't get them very often, so
Okay.
uh, you really do have to be careful with how much you're exposing yourself in these areas, um, because you know every move you make is another turn that they have to get the jump on you.
Okay.
So if I do a takedown on the guy in front of me, that's going to take time that they could be using to line up their shot on me. And then I don't have time to move out of the way anymore. Um, so again, it for a certain crowd, I think it could be a very fun game.
Sounds kind
But
of fun to me.
personally, like it was not for me. I did not
It's
have the mental capacity for it, I think.
it sounds like just like a little bite-sized strategy game
Mm-hmm.
where I don't I don't mean this to sound insulting, but like that isn't too complex. That just has, go in, kill everybody without dying, get
Mm-hmm.
out.
Yeah.
Not mission structures are simple in that regard. Yeah, it does it. If you don't like John Wick Hex, you will not like any other strategy game.
Yeah.
Fire Emblem, not for you. XCOM, no. So
Yeah. I mean, that's the sad truth of it. I think I have a certain type of game that I'm gonna most of the time I'm gonna enjoy, and this just does not fall into that category.
but overall, a well-made game.
A well-made game, as I said before, I really do like the art style. It's kind of like a cell
Yeah,
shaded, like
it's
comic
very good.
style.
Yeah,
Um, Not quite to the detail of something like Arcane, but like an interesting take on John Wick, which it's a very popular franchise. It was cool to see it in this different style. Um, well made, definitely could be fun for fans of strategy games. I believe you that's probably not that complex compared to other ones,
sure,
so could be like a good introduction to that genre for somebody. But yeah, just
absolutely, yeah. Because like where like Fire Emblem or XCOM really shines is like its depth and it's like its mission structure. Like it's not just go kill these people. Uh, you know, sometimes in XCOM you have people that you need to go rescue, so you got to find a way into that building.
mhm.
You can do it stealthily or not, and then you have to keep that person safe as you get them out. Or there's um, certain missions, like in Fire Emblem, where you only have to kill like a commander. Like you don't have to kill every enemy on the map if you
Mhm.
can go kill that commander
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So it's disappointing that there's not a little more different, some different mission structures in there.
Hmm.
And then maybe it being from such a popular franchise and it not shining. Maybe that's why people didn't really like it so much. Is Keanu Reeves in it at all?
Not that I know. I don't think so.
No.
John,
Okay.
as far as I know, doesn't have any dialogue. So you're
Okay.
just, all of the story beats take place with the other people who I mentioned.
Hmm.
But when you're playing as John, you're just going through the level. Like there's not really any story aspects that involve him, at least not that I've seen. Um, but I think the reason that this game probably isn't as well received as it maybe could have been is because it being a John Wick game, I think there's a different expectation for what type of game you're getting into.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you're familiar with this game at all, but the game that makes me think of like what it would feel like to be John Wick in a video game is the game Super Hot. Did you ever play that one?
Okay. No, I never played it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I've played it in VR, and that's the most John Wick type game ever.
Just shooting everything.
Just shooting these guys that immediately like they're everyone's made of glass, I think. So as soon as the bullet hits them, they shatter and their gun flies over to you and you can just grab it out of the air and start shooting the next person, and you
Sick.
can like throw a bottle and that'll kill somebody. But time only moves when you do. So it's
Okay.
similar thing, like you have to be kind of strategic about it, but you can also like it's it gives you the feeling of like being really cool and like grabbing a gun out of the air and then shooting somebody, and then like you throw that gun at the person who's on your other side, and then you know you can like duck and you can see the bullets whizzing past you, and like it gives you the feeling of just being in an action movie, where I think that that's kind of what I was hoping for with this one.
Yeah.
And it just it's not that type of game.
Yeah. The slow pace of a strategy game probably didn't do it any favors. Just like
Yeah,
you said, John Wick fans probably wanted to try to feel like John Wick.
yeah. Well, like
Maybe they would have maybe they would have been better off, not like doing the John Wick IP and just kind of making their own little strategy game. Maybe that would have worked out a little better for them.
yeah. Honestly, I think naming it or having it with any relation to John Wick, I think was probably their biggest downfall with this,
Hmm.
because of the fact that if you're a John Wick fan, you probably like the fast-paced, gunfights and all the crazy acrobatics, and those fight scenes are the highlight of those movies.
Yeah.
So in a video game, the coolest thing I can imagine is taking part in one of those fast-paced gunfights.
Yeah.
And I think a very slow-paced strategy game probably isn't the right move if it's going to be a John Wick game.
Probably not. Sorry, Mike Bithell.
Yeah.
Thomas is Alone was good, I guess. I never
Yeah.
played that though. I don't even know what it is. I just know it's his most famous game.
Yeah. But all in all, good game. I hope people like it. I don't think I'll ever play it again.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever play Devil May Cry either. Maybe one of the newer ones.
Yeah.
Big maybe. Big maybe.
Yeah. Well,
Um
you kind of got me one to check out a Devil May Cry.
oh, see, look at this.
See, that's why I think this has happened twice now, where we both got the game that the other person probably should have got.
You wanted Shantae?
I'm not going to say I wanted Shantae, but like I
You
don't
like
have a problem with platformers,
yeah, see, I hate
and you don't like
platformers.
platformers.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Assault Android Cactus or whatever, like that bullet
Plus.
hell type game. I did
Yeah.
enjoy that, but I think that you probably would have gotten more enjoyment out of
Yeah,
it.
your description was, it sounded fun, and yeah, I definitely would have liked
Hmm.
John Wick X more than you. I was jealous for sure
Yeah.
that you got that. So maybe next time we have to switch, just no matter what.
So whatever one you get, I have to play.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
roll for you, you roll for me.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
with our luck, it'll be opposite again somehow. Yeah,
It's worth a shot, I think.
it's worth a shot.
Yeah.
Well, okay. That finishes our random roll review. Our first one
Yeah.
of 2024. First one in, I don't know, a while. I'm not sure how often we're gonna do these. It's probably just gonna be random.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lull in releases, which there really isn't gonna be one for a while.
Yeah.
We got some already exciting games coming out in this like first quarter.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna try to stick to our bi-weekly releases here as much as Jake can, as much as I can. But we'll try to keep. We will do better than we did last year. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna try to get my channel up and running again. I'm really looking forward to Persona 3 Reload coming out in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to record that, so I think those videos will be up. I think it comes out February 2nd, so I'll probably play it all weekend and then start uploading.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what's new to expect at Gooba and Jetpack over there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we definitely haven't slowed down at all in the last, we still have uploaded a video every week.
Mm-hmm.
I have severely slacked on making new content. But I'm excited to, I have a few videos that are more scripted that are already pretty much ready to film. So I'm excited to get going on that. I really want to try to make more scripted content this year. I always have a good time making those when I get to be like, I get to add some humor into it and, go crazy with edits and all that. I would really like to start reviewing games again. There was a time where I was putting out a lot of reviews on games that I was playing, and I always enjoyed that too. But
I really enjoyed your the games you should have played videos. I think we did a couple, but those are really fun to watch. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's a series that I definitely want to get back into. So yeah, I won't make any promises like I did last year. But I will say that I have ideas in the works, and I'm excited to see what comes out of them.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2024. New year, new us,
That's right.
All right, Jake. I think that's all we've got. Why don't you get us out of here?
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out for A to Jump episode 19. As always, I am your host, Jake, aka Gooba, over on the YouTube channel Gooba and Jetpack. We also stream on Twitch, so you can see us there. And we do other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And as always, I'm joined by my good buddy and co-host Justin over on Justin Games. So go ahead and check out his channel as well.
Keep on gaming.
And keep on gaming.
Bye.
Bye, guys.